It has been officially a long time since we saw the Mandalorian proper series and the Mandalorian himself with Grogu in a Mandalorian series, because it's been winter of 2020 since Season 2 wrapped up, where Luke Skywalker came in, swooped in, literally with his X-Wing, and took Grogu for training. The Book of Boba Fett supplemented that story by telling us that Grogu in the end did not complete his training with Luke, instead chose to go with his quote-unquote dad in Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. Now, episode 1 of season 3 just graced us with its presence. It's named The Apostate, which essentially starts this off by telling us what this season is going to be about. The episode itself focused heavily on Din Djarin's determination to be redeemed. The episode opens on Concordia with a young member of a cult taking his vows, a kid, mind you, and what made it funny for me actually is that the kid accepted to be ingratiated in the Children of the Watch sect and did not even cut his hair first. If he is never to remove the helmet again, how is he going to live with that long hair? We get introduced to the armorer again, with her many followers beside her, forging a new foundling helmet for this kid who is about to become a foundling. After what they went through on Navarro, it seems like the clan is slowly regaining its numbers and strength. But ultimately, tragedy comes to them again. From the depths of the water comes a giant crocodile-looking creature who is wreaking havoc on the Mandalorians, and unfortunately with their blasters and grenades, they can't even control it. It seems like they are overpowered, but just in the nick of time, of course, Din Djarin's return ultimately saves the day. With his Nubian ships, he swoops in and not only blows up the creatures, but its intestines go out everywhere. This was a good sign for me, telling me that they are going in a more R-rated direction. Not all the way, of course, because it's Disney+, but they still do their compromises here and there. But even though he saved the day, for the armorer, Din Djarin is still not a welcomed person in their midst. The fact is that he has removed his helmet and he is now apostate. Din Djarin, though, gives his own version. Through Jawas, he has intercepted a relic from Mandalore itself, indicating that the planet could be habitable still, since a journeyman went to Mandalore, recovered this piece, and sold it to Jawas, meaning that the surface is not lethal, radioactive, because of the bombing during the Purge from the Empire. The armorer takes a good look at Din Djarin, takes a good look at Grogu too, and reluctantly agrees to allow Din Djarin back into their midst if he proves that he has bathed in the waters beneath Mandalore. Right now, she sees it as an impossible task, although it seems like there is still hope. It's very weird to see that Din Djarin is still motivated to come back into the midst. This is the only family he knew, that is true, but in Season 2, we see Din Djarin realizing that he was part of an extremalist Mandalorian cult. With Bo-Katan, he really realized that the Children of the Watch is not all there is to be when it comes to Mandalorian culture. There are those who remove their helmet and still consider themselves Mandalorian, but it seems like he is steadfast in his beliefs that he will be one day redeemed in the waters under the mines of Mandalore, where the armorer can accept him again. And for me, yes, I could really say that this episode was kind of frustrating when it came to Din Djarin, because again, Season 2 showed that there are other ways. Children of the Watch is not the only thing in the galaxy for Din Djarin. By all means, in this episode 2, Greef Karga even presents him with a new opportunity that he could live the rest of his days in glamour. What was a cool Easter egg of the Ahsoka series, and of course the Star Wars Rebels animated series, while Din Djarin and Grogu are on their way through hyperspace going to Navarro. As they're going through that speed, Grogu sees the Purrgil, which have essentially made their debut for the first time in live action. We don't see them quite clearly, but we see their silhouette. I believe these guys will be key in the Ahsoka series as well, upcoming later this year. Meeting with Greef Karga on Navarro, we see that Navarro has stepped it up a bit. It's become a trading hub in the Outer Rim. Greef Karga is now High Magistrate, and we also see IG-11's statue, indicating that he was part of the liberation of Navarro from the remnant of the Empire. Interestingly though, we see that Greef Karga is in dire need of somebody to stay and and look after the city. This is why he offers Din Djarin so much. A beautiful parcel near high ground. He could live off the land, live off the riches. He would never have to look over his shoulder again. During that time, we see how desperate Greef Karga is to have a sheriff back in town like Mando, because they have a brief run-in with pirates, mainly pirates serving the king pirate Gorian Shard, who we realize from the backstory he has helped Greef Karga in the past and now expects to have free reign across the town. In the end, this scuffle ends with all the pirates being dead, gunned down by Greef Karga and Mando. Only the main pirate escaped. Unfortunately, even though Greef Karga is in dire need, Mando still tells him that he has a mission to attend to and he will not be staying here. He needs IG-11 reactivated again because since he is returning to Mandalore again, he needs first for a droid that he can trust to inspect the surface first before he lands. There's an interesting moment where I kind of predicted it as such, where IG-11 was reactivated, however, it short-circuited back to its old memory where it was actually a bounty hunter hunting down Grogu. To fix IG-11, definitely, the Anzellans are reintroduced into Star Wars. We first saw them in Rise of Skywalker, cute little things, but they still cannot fix IG-11 without having a new memory circuit for him, since his memory circuit is definitely broken. They come to an agreement finally that if Din Djarin can recover a new memory bank for them to insert into IG-11, then they could finally fix him, although they can't fix Grogu, who seems to be in love with these little guys. In my mind, I saw it as finally Grogu finding something smaller and cuter than Grogu perhaps, but before he could leave Navarro for his quest, the pirates that survived now has come with reinforcements. The neat little Easter egg that I definitely appreciated was that Din Djarin did use the Nubian to perform a special trick, spinning, immortalized by Anakin Skywalker, who deemed spinning as a good trick. It was a mishmash of Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones going through asteroids. Din Djarin destroyed almost all of them, but in the end, the pirate led it to the main ship, where the king was also present. And the ship did give off pirate vibes. It was pretty neat looking and cool. The Pirate King himself was kind of funny. He was more of a funny guy than a scary guy, I think, at least in my mind. He was a Star Wars version of Davy Jones. When they said pirates, they definitely meant Pirate of the Caribbean style. They are all, the king does talk and sound like Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean, but he is also a mishmash of Davy Jones and the Swamp Thing. Unfortunately for him, Din Djarin escapes his grasp, although I have a feeling that later on in the series we will have a run-in again with the Pirate King. His last stop for this episode is Kelvala, where we realize that Bo-Katan has relocated to this spot and built a Mandalorian castle. Since we last saw her in Season 2, it's been a grim story for Bo-Katan apparently, because everybody has abandoned her. When she came back without the Darksaber, their people essentially left her, working as mercenaries for others. She blamed the Death Watch. She blamed the children of the Watch as fracturing their society, the Mandalorian society. That's why they fell. It seemed like she was completely desperate but not asking for help. Graciously enough though, she told Din Djarin the information that he came here for, and that was where should he go to find the mines underneath Mandalore, and we learned that they are beneath the Civic Center in the city of Sundari. With that, the episode closes, it ends, and it wasn't much of an action explosion episode. It didn't come off out of the gates immediately, but it was an introductory episode nonetheless, and I expect from episode 2 onwards for more pressing onward plot storyline episodes. What did you guys think also? Tell me down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.